Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm your host, Keith Downey, and very excited to welcome back our next guest, Robert Renzi, actor, writer, producer, fitness professional, and men's coach. He also plays as Jesus in the Eucharistic miracle movie, The New Manna. Thank you so much for joining us again, Rob.
Yeah, Keith, Tim, thanks for having me, guys. Great to be here.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here. I know it's early in California, so we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Speaking of California, that we've noticed a lot that there's been an uptick in Catholicism within mainstream media and television. It's interesting. Also, sometimes it's kind of a mixed bag. Like, I feel like every Catholic is a little hesitant about hearing some news about a new show or movie. So I guess the question for you, Rob, what do you think is the driving force behind the sudden surge in Catholic-themed content in mainstream media? Like, do you think it's a genuine interest in the faith, or maybe an attempt to tap into a new market, or, I don't know, something else entirely?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. I think what we're seeing now, and I think you're seeing sort of the pendulum swing, it's starting to come back a little bit. And so we all can feel there's sort of an energy shift in culture happening right now, especially over the last 2 weeks, right, with the election coming. So ultimately, this is a good thing for filmmakers and storytellers, right? There's going to be an avenue which you can start to tell stories that have a morality to them, very Catholic stories if you want. But within that, right, you're going to get, people who are sort of hopping on the trend a little bit. And, a lot of these, depending on, which platform you see these movie pop up on, these Netflix or whatever it might be, they want to make money, and so they're going to put out what's hot right now. So I think as a Catholic, it's going to be really important to use a lot of prudence in going into some of these films, but ultimately I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious, who do you think is doing it well? Like, are there any recent films or shows like that deal with some of the Catholic themes that you think are particularly well done, or at least authentic? Any of those out there?
Oh man, I think purely Catholic. I don't know if I've seen it yet. I come from the sort of mindset that some of the best Catholic films I think are secular films. I think Rocky is probably the greatest Catholic film you can watch in a sense, right?
Sure.
It starts with Jesus holding the Eucharist above this it's an old church, and then it comes down in Rockies, and so I think you see a lot more in that than you do in some of these, purely Christian films. But with that said, I think you see some good stuff. I think The Chosen obviously does a decent job in some things, but ultimately so far, you got guys like Alejandro and Eduardo that are doing, working with Angel Studios, and they're putting some stuff out. Cabrini obviously was a very Catholic film, depending on how you felt about it. So it's there. I don't think it's 100% there yet. I think we're still waiting on it. I think that's the big thing. Yeah. But there's aspects.
That's right. And I mean, the one thing that always comes to mind when I talk to you is the film that we both essentially worked on, you more so than myself, The New Manna, which, I mean, that it's incredibly Catholic, the way you've portrayed Jesus and all of the biblical, the scripture that was filmed. Touch a little about that for those that might not be familiar with this Eucharistic miracle movie.
Yeah, thanks so much, Keith. That was great working with you, and it's been fun kind of looking at the edits that are coming back for our scene. So I'm excited to get that out there. But The New Manna is a film on Eucharistic miracles. The really unique thing about our film is it's not going to be a documentary. This is a featured narrative. We were at the Eucharistic Congress back in July. We had a booth there, and I can tell you right now, the number one thing we walked away with was almost everybody, of the thousands of people we talked to, were so excited for a movie, as they called it. This is going to be a movie. I think Catholics, we do a great job at the documentaries, but when it comes to these features, we're lacking. And it's difficult because you're trying to get, the bread of life discourse, these really rich theological subjects. And a movie needs to be entertaining at the top. right?
Right.
The message has to come secondary, and that's hard to do. So this is a film essentially about a skeptic. He comes across these miracles. It sets him on a journey to go disprove them. And while he's on that journey, he starts to discover the truth behind it. And then we cut back into the Jesus reenactment with the apostles. We showcase the Last Supper, the crucifixion, road to Emmaus, and it's interwoven in this wonderful story about one man's journey towards the Eucharist and towards faith.
That's such a relatable story, though, I'm sure, especially those that are converts. Like, they're going to try to, like, prove this is all wrong, or at least do a little bit of more historical research, and then they end up eventually converting.
Yeah, that's the goal. Right. We want it. We made it. We want it for the Protestants, the atheists. The Catholics are going to love it. It's a film for you guys, of course. You're going to love it. It's going to be theologically sound, and you're not going to have any worries. But we want to cast a wide net with it as well.
Yeah. So kind of going back to kind of the media discourse, just because there are some things out there that are not accurate to our Catholic faith. So what are your thoughts on, like, how can Catholics be more discerning consumers of this type of media? Are there any red flags we should be watching out for when it comes to this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, know your faith, obviously, and I think it's going to be really important, and I think, do your research, in some of these films coming out. Look at the director, look at the writers, look at their track history. You can go online, you can check IMDb and some of these films and see, okay, super secular, super, woke propaganda type filmmakers and writers and decide. I mean, look at the trailers. I think, there's some films coming out already where there's some problem areas already that you're seeing, and you have to decide, be like, okay, that's not going to be for me. Or not. So, do some due diligence. And I think it'll be good for like Catholics like ourselves, maybe to step into it, check them out, and then relay the message back to them. Be like, hey, look, this is not even a Catholic film. It says it's about, kind of like Padre Pio, it says it's about him, but let's be honest. And so, again, it's going to go back to some prudence and knowing your faith.
Yeah, that's very true. And for us, Catholics that are at that level, how do we just jump in conversation, especially online? Is it beneficial to go in and just trying to trash the, do not watch, get away from it? I'm sure there's a way to do it in a charitable manner, but.
Yeah. I mean, it's, if you're ever on X, I don't know how anyone can stay on there for too long without it being that place is wild. I jumped back in not too long ago, and the Catholic community there is it's intense. But I don't know. I think there's a way to go about it, Jared. But look, like movies needs critics. I mean, it's been happening forever, and it should be no different for a Catholic film. You need good. That's what I mean, like good movie critics, good Catholics, people that you can trust that are going into these films and coming back and relaying back like, hey, look, there are some theological problems here and there, but overall, what a beautiful film. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Or, hey, look, this is extremely blasphemous. This is nothing near anything that is Catholic, stay away from it. And that's, for right now, I think as we enter into this phase, that's the best way it's going to go.
Yeah, definitely. So for those out there that are listening that want to support, initiatives, maybe those Catholic artists, filmmakers who are creating authentic Catholic content, whether it's, in the realm of looking like it's secular, but really there's themes that are very Catholic, or just, slapping in your face Catholic. How can we make our voices heard and our preferences known?
Yeah, I think you're seeing it right now. I think you're getting a lot of with social media and what you guys are doing. They like social media right now it casts a large net. I mean, it's getting out to a lot of people. So we're going to need their help going forward. Like I think what you're going to see is, especially, you're going to see a rise of sort of these independent Catholic filmmaking and independent filmmaking. I mean, I don't know, Keith, if you're aware, but Hollywood's sort of dying. It's sort of, there's a death to Hollywood coming. I think you're going to see a rise of a lot of independent features coming up, and you're going to need the support of a lot of these, either Catholic social media outlets and people like yourself sort of pushing a lot of this content. We're seeing it a lot with our film right now, the new Manna, trying to spread the word and get it out there. Because if you want these really good Catholic films out there, if you want films that you don't have to worry about, that are going to be entertaining and fun, and also have a sound message, then the support is super, super, super important. We got to get it out there.
Absolutely. So what's going on with you? Any projects on the horizon aside from the new Manna?
I'm online. I do men's mentorship. I've been coaching men. It's been about a year now. I'm helping men, go from various vices to achieving virtue. So that's through my social media. That's my Instagram at Renzi Rob, and that's been wonderful, incredible experience. You see men who are overcoming, lust and pornography, and turning back to the faith, and learning how to lead as men, and getting in shape and getting healthy. So it's across the board, and something I've been doing that is extremely fruitful and wonderful. So that's the big project that I've been doing for the last year with the film as well.
That's great. That's something that society certainly has been lacking for so long. Those virtues in men. So we appreciate what you do there, Rob. We can find you at I believe your website, robertrenzi.com, as well. We can check out the film, thenewmanna.com.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Rob, for joining us. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Great to be here. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. And that is it for Morning Joy, where truth matters. Now, of course, there's a couple of routes we can take. You can stay and listen to the Holy Mass, especially if you're listening on radio. So if you're listening to the radio, please pray for us. We'll pray for you. Otherwise, we highly recommend you join us for the After Show Clubhouse. So we're transitioning on over to that on our social media platforms. So literally, I think we're on almost every single platform, even TikTok. So if you want to go ahead and find us on any of them, we recommend YouTube, just because there's such a great community there. We love them. Just search Morning Joy Radio, or simply search GRN online. That's who produces this incredible production that you've been listening to / watching. But we understand sometimes you aren't able to make it. So God bless. Make it a joyful day. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern, here on Morning Joy, where truth matters.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.